Ladies and gentlemen, if you take your seats, we have a full agenda. And I wonder if there's anybody who we have to ask if we can have fun today while we're working. Is there somebody who you go to say, can we have some fun too while we're doing productive work for the taxpayers? So, I think that's up to each one of us. So I'd like to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Allen. Auger.
Here.
Castro.
Here. Here. Moore. Here.
Fraz.
Here.
Gillen.
Here.
Heyman.
Here.
Oshite.
Here.
Kenyon.
Here.
Kazaric.
Here.
Lash.
Here.
Lewis.
Here.
Molina.
Present.
Here. Here. Zone. Here. Smith. Here.
Sterrett.
Present.
Taylor. Vasquez.
Here.
Winnick.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and we have a quorum. This morning, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd like to ask Patrick Strader, the administrator, and Lisa Wyatt, the administrative assistant for Moose Lodge 1368. So if you two would come forward, and then if we would all rise.
Didn't know that. Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pat and Lisa. The prayer this morning is going to be led by Jeff Krug, who's a certified coach. He and I were fellow Lions in Geneva when I was in the accounting practice here. His wife, Marlene, is just finishing up, I think, Jeff, is it 34 or 35 years of teaching in the Geneva school system?
24.
24. Oh, 24. Okay. So 24 years of teaching. And Jeff is with J. Krug and Associates. And if we'd rise for the prayer.
Loving and gracious God, you are indeed the giver of all good gifts, and we gather together this day to seek your wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. Be with these representatives in their deliberations and help them to be wise in the decisions that they make, for the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in their leadership. Give them insight to lead with integrity, that their decisions may reflect what is right and good. Keep them from short-sightedness and pettiness. Help them to make decisions that strive to be for the good of all, and guard them from blind self-interest. Finally, dear Lord, grant them the humility to always seek your will in all that they do and say. All glory be to you, loving God, now and forever. Amen.
Wonderful. Good job. Jeff's wife asked me to come to her classroom when I was starting in the Senate, maybe, it must have been like 19, 20 years ago. And then recently asked me to come back. And it was reassuring to see that those smiles on those little faces are just as bright today as they were 2 decades ago. Marlene, we are very grateful for your 24 years of teaching our children. So thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is a couple of introductions. First of all, I'd like to introduce Diane Sterrett-Taranowski. She is a graduate of West Aurora, played tennis there, went on to the London School of Economics, earned her MBA from Kellogg School of Management. She's a mom of 3. She's the head of finance for her children's school. She's from Libertyville, and she dropped off the kids. There's a Fermilab camp going on, and she is here visiting Susan Sterrett, who is one of our finest board members. So, Diane, would you please rise?
She can't rise now because she had to go pick
She
up
had
the
to
kids.
go and take care of
Sorry.
business. That's the way it is with
She's
moms.
running with the kids, so she
That's
got to
how
say
it
hi
is
to
with
a lot
moms.
of you, but
All right.
she enjoyed it immensely, so thank you.
Well, thank you for bringing her and showing her around. Next on the introductions, I'd like to introduce Susan Howe and her new dog, Oreo. Susan, would you come up and bring Oreo, who she recently adopted from the Kane County Animal Control after seeing him, actually, it wasn't at the Swedish Day Parade, but came online a few weeks ago. Our thanks to Susan for her opening her home to little Oreo, who is a Jack Russell and a Poodle mix. Now, Susan also brought Rosie, who she adopted from the DuPage Animal Control. The Kane County Animal Control has been working very diligently with social media and is now participating in parades, as you already know, in Kane County. Through these initiatives, many dogs and cats have been adopted. Oreo is a perfect example of the success that Kane County Animal Control has had. I'd like to thank Mrs. Howe, Barb Jeffers, Rob Sauceda, and all the board members who have supported our mutual efforts in this area. So, thank you. By the way, for the board members, the Howes brought, I think that Mrs. Howe is kind of taking a chapter out of Deb Allen's book. I haven't opened this, but this is a gift for all of the board members here. So I'm going to open it now.
Cookies?
It has the good, oh, I should have known. Oh, that's so funny. I guessed cookies, but I didn't guess Oreo. So, you know, Deb, I'm going to ask you to do the honors, open this package, and then pass them around. So, thank you, Susan. That's very funny. Okay, approval of the minutes, June 11th, 2013. I'd like to ask for a motion and a second. So moved by Ms. Starrett, second by Mr. Fraz. Are there any discussion, any amendments?
He hasn't opened it yet.
Okay, if there's no questions or amendments, motion's been made and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Okay. First, under new and unfinished business, presentation discussion, recognition of 100-year anniversary of the St. Charles Moose Lodge, 1368. Would Mr. Strader and Miss Wyatt come forward?
Folks, you'll have to come up in front.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to make a presentation on behalf of the Kane County Board. It reads as follows. In recognition of a 100-year anniversary of the St. Charles Moose Lodge, 1368, whereas on July 17, 2013, the St. Charles Moose Lodge celebrates its 100-year anniversary, and whereas the members of the St. Charles Moose Lodge play an integral part in the success of community projects and volunteerism, and whereas each member's contribution not only enhances but reinforces that there is goodness in all those who serve our community, and whereas the generosity, commitment, and dedication of St. Charles Moose members to the children of Mooseheart and the seniors at Moose Haven is highly commended. Now therefore, on this 9th day of July 2013, the Kane County Board and Chairman therefore recognize the many accomplishments of St. Charles Moose Lodge and their families on their 100-year anniversary and thank them for the generous support provided to the community of St. Charles, Kane County, and countless charitable organizations. Signed by myself and also Jack Cunningham.
First of all, your board members, we weren't sure how
how many board members you had.
I'll pass this around, and you have, why don't you say a few words?
Oh,
And you can maybe announce this.
all right. We are going to have, this Saturday, there will be a 100-year anniversary party at our lodge. It's just come on in and have a good time. Everybody can show up. It's for, basically, it's almost, usually it's a family picnic type thing, but come on out. You check it out, see what we're about. We're about a lot more. We're trying to do more for a community than just Moose Heart, Moose Haven. You know, we're here for you, too.
It's good. Thank you very much. The good work continues.
Thank you.
So, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, this morning I'm going to try to take less than 5 minutes on a brief presentation, Chairman's short program. So Roger, if you can put that up. You know, I was going to say, I know that I have a lot to learn, and I recognize that, but you know, I think that everybody in this room also recognizes it. So I wanted to share with you 3 lessons that I've learned that really stand out in my mind. There are hundreds of examples of good people and good success that that continue to occur in Kane County. So I can only single out in 4.5 minutes remaining 3 of these. But there are hundreds. I want to emphasize there are hundreds, just beginning to recognize some of these lessons. First one I'd like to emphasize is the value of a good example. We have working on our team Mark Armstrong. I think that he is a personification of a good example of both competence and fairness. We take so much in our lives for granted, whether it's good neighbors, loving family members, peace and prosperity, competent and fair fellow public servants, that we really need to take a moment and celebrate that. You know, I really got to know Mark at a meeting in June of 2012, I think it was, up at Del Webb. TR, I bet you remember that meeting.
I remember it well.
The auditorium was full of folks.
People were not happy with the tax situation.
Most of the people, as TR said, were not happy with the tax situation that was there. And I think that they were ready with both barrels that day, and justifiably. Auditorium full, heat was on. They have time to really understand what's going on with their taxes, and they're not shy about expressing their views. So Mark stepped to the microphone. He very thoroughly described the process that is gone through. He addressed the situation that had caused the problem and what his recommendations were to solve it. He answered all the questions patiently and thoroughly. And I think that all you need to do to really understand the good example of Mark's gentle and thorough competence is take a look at a letter that he sent. And the best example of technical writing I've reviewed in the last 6 months was in response to a Montgomery resident who had sent over a note to me and Jesse Vasquez on the board here, and it was really outstanding work. When you see the mutual respect that is exercised between Mark and the township supervisors, again, what a good example for the rest of us. Now, I personally believe that Mark takes his faith seriously. I have had the experience in my life where many people who want to evangelize and want to convert me to something, usually it's best that folks first concentrate on themselves. But there is an expression, and I think it might be biblical, that says that people will know you by your actions and by your behavior. And so I think the best testament to Mark's faith is how he conducts every day of his life. So, Mark, thank you very much for your service. You know, until this year, I think that the most underutilized member on the county board has been Deb Allen. Deb Allen, gentle, smart in a practical way, and enormously generous. We haven't always agreed on every issue, but I've noticed an uncanny skill that Deb has when she approaches issues. She very effectively persuades me and other members of the board, both in committee and at these board meetings, by starting from the positive premise. So amazing how you personify the power of cooperation by starting with the positive premise. What you say to me, in so many words, is, Chris, I'm going to support you and the board on this initiative, but here's how you can make it even better. It's easy to hear that. You open up your mind, you open up your heart, and business gets done. So, Deb, I think that you are absolutely wonderful. You open people's minds and hearts. So thank you for your service. Finally, the last lesson that I've learned is that it is true that you can teach an old dog new tricks. I was going to put up a picture of an old dog up there, but you get to see me every day. So I thought I'd bring a little younger pup. The bottom line of the lesson that I've learned here through animal control is that when we combine our efforts, and when you actually, just to personalize it, when you teach me rather than penalize, the idea that when we work together, but give me alternatives. And there's a lesson that came from an example that is animal control. When that issue came up, it was so far in the hole, and I'm going to show just one other slide. We were so far in the hole that after 2 months, if we continued with where we were, I knew that there is no way, and the board would be very upset at the end of the year that there was no way that we'd get to achieving our goal of raising the $800,000 that we needed to in order to pay our obligations and not, to not be a burden on the general fund in that area. I thought I only had 2 options. One was to delay a month, go through the processes, or act. And so I acted and made the decision. We hired a person, got him going, and it's been going very well, and I'll give you the background. But there was a third option. There was a third option that I didn't understand at that time, just from the newness, and that was that there's the emergency procedure under the hiring freeze. There's just another way of doing it. And I think that that's what comes from our work together, that there are so many other ways that we can approach things. So the good result of all that, if you go to the next slide, Roger, is that we are ahead. I was going to bring a big yardstick here. In that first month, we were at 2,900. In the second month, we were only at 3,900. And if you divide $800,000 by 12 months, you'll find that it's $72,000 to $74,000 a month that has to be raised. So we're already desperately in the hole. Thanks to Barb Jeffers' outstanding management, brought on Rob Sauceda. Rob Sauceda went to work. In the next month, we exceeded the goal at $78,000. Now, I do remember that I was kind of surprised when I mentioned to a board member, gosh, it looks like, the first month is in, it's a good result. And the answer was, that money would have come in anyway. I thought, and sure enough, in the next month, in March, despite, our best effort, we only brought in $55,000. So we can't take for granted that things are going to happen automatically. So it does come from the work that all of us do together. Thank goodness in April cleared the bar again. May and June is going forward. And now I think that we have a source of great pride and a lot of good activity that's going on there. So the bottom line is that you can teach an old dog new tricks. If you'll share with me a better way, it is so much more productive than taking the adversarial. We all do need to work together. So that's just the thoughts for this month. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see. Are there any speakers on agenda items? If not, we'll...
Chairman?
Yes.
We do have Ellen Balu who's signed up to speak in regard to zoning petition number 4300. She is with the petitioner and is available to answer any questions also in regard to that zoning petition, but now would be I think the appropriate time if she would like to address the board regarding the petition.
Okay, so would you, is Ms. Balu going to make a statement or just answer questions? Which would she prefer?
I'm just available to answer questions.
Okay, real good. Well, with that being the case, thank you very much for stepping in, Mr. Donahue. Mike Donahue will present the petition and make a motion to approve, and then we'll entertain the second, and we'll go on to the discussion.
Okay, the zoning petition is petition 4300 in Sugar Grove Township. Petitioner is RKM Properties. This is a petition to rezone 5.5 acres on the west side of Miguel Road, half-mile south of Prairie Street in Sugar Grove Township from farming to F1. This had staff approval. It was approved by the zoning board and also unanimously approved by Development Committee, and I would move approval of the petition at this time.
Okay, Mr. Donahue moves it. Second, Ms. Taylor, in your area, in your district. So it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Ms. Taylor?
I'd like to say that I've been part of this from the beginning when actually Ellen picked up the phone and just happened to call me one day. This is an incredible project and the wishes of what they're looking to do, and they're a true asset to Kane County, and thank you for your dreams and making it happen.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Taylor. If there are no other questions, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Allen? Barrero?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Donahue?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Fries?
Yes.
Gilliam? Amon?
Yes.
O'Shea?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazari?
Yes.
Lash?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Molina?
Yes.
Pollock?
Yes.
Sheffro?
Yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Sterrett?
Yes.
Taylor? Vasquez?
Yes.
Wadicki?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Thank you very much, Mr. Donahue. Okay, resolutions and ordinances. Is there anyone who would want to remove anything from the consent agenda? Mr. Fraz?
I would like to remove as a group under transportation 228, 229, 230, and 231, and we can discuss those as a group.
Okay. Any others? If Ms. Wonicki?
I didn't plan on this, but I think we should remove 13-11, proclaiming August 8, 2013, Patrick King County Day.
Okay, we'll come back to you on
Perhaps somebody could read that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any others? Dr. Silva?
27, please.
13227. Dr. Silva. Okay. Ms. Lesh?
13219 under finance.
219. Okay. Any others? If Mr. Sheffler?
13225, another proclamation.
Number 225?
Right.
Okay. If there are no others, I'll ask the clerk to call. I'm sorry. We needed a motion and a second. So a motion to pass those with the ones that have been taken, without the ones that have been taken off. So moved by Ms. Sterrett, second by Ms. Allen. Any discussion? If not, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Allen? Guerrero?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Donahue? Ford?
Yes.
Franz?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Heyman?
Yes.
Hoshay?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazari?
Yes.
Lash? Lewis? Molina? Pollock? Sheffro?
Yes.
Silva? Smith? Sterrett? Taylor?
Yes.
Vasquez?
Yes.
Winnicki?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The motion passes. Now to number 13211, Ms. Wodnicki.
I'll move it.
Ms. Wodnicki moves it. Is there a second? Mr. Ford, discussion, presentation, Ms. Wodnicki.
I would like to know if Ms. Taylor would like to read the resolution, since since I think it was originally her idea. Is that possible?
Here you go.
Yeah?
No, okay.
Yeah?
She's not ready to talk.
Well, maybe rather than reading.
Stay on the calendar.
Okay. So, Ms. Taylor, would you like to?
No?
So, okay. I believe that this came in conjunction with, I guess, your effort, also Ms. Auger's effort, and then we have a staff member who should be recognized over in the water department. So let's not make this, I mean, we've had a lot of celebration, but is there anything else to be said on this?
If you'd like.
No, I don't have it in front of me.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just read the summary, if
Thank you.
that's okay.
That sounds good.
August 8th, 2013 is proclaimed Patrick Kane County Day to represent the county's appreciation for the Blackhawks, Patrick Kane's dedication to the sport of hockey, and the great fans in Blackhawk country. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, the motion's made second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. August 8th, which I understand the significance of the 8-8 is that's Mr. Kane's number. So, Mr. Patrick Kane County on August 8th. Thank you very much. Next, number 13219, Ms. Lesh. Would you want to make a motion and then I'll ask for a second? Okay, so the motion's made to pass it by Ms. Lesh, second by Mr. Hoshite. Ms. Lesh?
Concerns in this is that I was kind of reviewing notes from our previous meeting in early June, and I noticed that there's like one of them, the things missing with the housing structures that are to be demolished and all, and it's been brought to my attention as well of the need and the process of what is happening going forward with those demolitions of the homes that we've decided to.
You know, I think that we might have some confusion on 219 is authorizing the Grand Victoria Casino Elgin Riverboat funding for external projects.
Right.
But Mr. Hoshite might have a. Mr. Hoshite?
Mr. Chairman, the resolution before us is the grants to the external applicants. The discussion regarding the funding for the internal programs, including the funding for the building demolitions, was that we would create a fund as it relates to building demolitions per se. If the county was successful in its property maintenance code in proceeding to obtain a demolition order against certain properties, which I understand we're close to, that we would then use funds from the Riverboat Fund, create what was, for lack of a better description, a fund that would advance monies for the purpose of doing the demolition work, but simultaneously then we would obtain a lien on the property that would be paid off when the properties were sold. So instead of including that in our external grants, we discussed having that as an internally funded program, which wouldn't necessarily be an outright distribution of funds that wouldn't come back. It would be more in the nature of a line of credit that would be used to advance for those projects. So approving this today is not to the exclusion of that program. In fact, I anticipated that we would provide a fund for that program and a mechanism where the resources would be available for the purpose of doing that demolition work.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And if, to make sure, it went from external to being an internal, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. That was
Because that money is used by the county for county enforcement purposes.
Is the money available in the internal funding right now?
The money is available in the fund balance that we have currently available, yes.
Okay. So now it's just a matter of procedure of just getting those bids out.
Right. If we need clarification on that, we can have a subsequent meeting where we can discuss that. But
Okay.
that clearly was my understanding as to how we were going to deal with that.
Okay.
So when we have a committee meeting for the internal grants and we're structuring that program, that might be a time that, we could use your participation, Ms. Lesh.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other thoughts or comments on that one? If not, I'd like to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Allen? Merrill?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Donahue? Ford?
Yes.
Franz?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Hayman?
Yes.
Holsheit?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazarick?
Yes.
Lash? Lewis?
Yes.
Molina? Pollock? Sheffro?
Yes.
Silva? Smith? Sterrett?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Vasquez?
Yes.
Winnicki?
Okay, the motion passes. Next is number 13, 225. Mr. Shefflo, would you like to make a motion? Okay, so moved by Mr. Shefflo, second by
I'll second.
Ms. Wonicky. Mr. Shefflo.
Should come off the consent agenda since it is a proclamation supporting probation and pretrial supervision workers. I don't know if there's anybody here from those departments who would want to address this. Otherwise, just ask for approval.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, would the clerk take the roll?
Allen? Guerrero?
Yes.
Davis? Yes. Donahue? Ford?
Yes.
Franz?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Hayman?
Yes.
Holsheit?
Yes.
Kenyon? Yes. Kazarick?
Yes.
Lash? Lewis? Yes. Molina?
Yes.
Pollock? Yes. Sheffro?
Yes.
Silva? Yes. Smith?
Yes.
Sterrett?
Yes.
Taylor? Vasquez?
Yes.
Winnicki?
Yes.
Thank you very much. The motion passes. Number 13, 227. Dr. Silva? Okay, Dr. Silva moves that, second by Ms. Taylor. Discussion, Dr. Silva?
I just wanted to let the board know that this is a follow-up resolution to the resolution we passed in May to lower animal control fees. And I'd like to let you know we do have an additional municipality that has joined us, thereby increasing, hopefully, revenue to animal control. So that was negotiated with the help of Metro West Council. And thank you, Barb and Mr. Sauceda, for that out-of-the-box thinking.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, I'd like to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Allen? Guerrero?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Donahue? Ford?
Yes.
Franz?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Hayman?
Yes.
Holsheit?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazarick?
Yes.
Lash? Lewis?
Yes.
Molina? Pollock? Sheffro?
Yes.
Silva? Smith?
Yes.
Sterrett?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Vasquez?
Yes.
Winnicki?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Thank you. Under transportation numbers, Mr. Frost, would you want us to take 228, 229, 230, and 231 as a batch?
Yes, please.
Okay. So Mr. Frost moves those 4 items. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Sterrett, for discussion. Mr. Frost.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I move this, or I remove these for further discussion because this is we're crossing a major transportation threshold today in moving forward with the Phase 2 engineering and the Long Meadow Toll Bridge and Corridor up in the north end. In 1990, 23 years ago, discussion started on this project with the various communities up there as well as the county and other entities. We do have a couple of the community mayors, Larry Keller, president of West Dundee, if you could raise your hand, Mr. Keller, and Mayor Schmidt from Algonquin, both have been very involved, as well as the other regional mayors up that way. Again, this is today what we're doing is moving forward 4 individual engineering contracts. And these are Phase 2 engineering, which is a substantial step forward. We're just in the process of completing the tail end of Phase 1. Phase 1 is your basic examination of existing conditions, environmental issues, identifying major challenges. Once that is done, then we move on to Phase 2, which is the meat of the engineering. Essentially, this is every minute detail of constructing the bridge and corridor, which will run from Randall Road all the way to Route 62. This will benefit not only Kane County and McHenry, but even a little bit of Cook on the east end in relieving major traffic congestion up at Route 62 and 31 and other intersections. It'll provide a very long-term benefit as far as economic development opportunities up there. During that 23-year process, there was a toll bridge task force. Once that concept came forward, we spent a lot of time investigating the toll bridge option. The reason we're moving forward with the toll bridge option is because this corridor is literally walking distance to the county line, the north county line. So this is going to benefit, as I said before, multiple counties and multiple jurisdictions. So it wasn't fair to place the financial burden entirely on Kane County. So we felt that the toll bridge would distribute the cost burden of this project over the people that are going to be using it. We do not go out to bid for professional services at KDOT, so we use what is called the qualification-based selection process, or QBS. This is a very involved process that looks at the various, I think we had something like 140 possible vendors for engineering services, and this looks at their experience and expertise in their various engineering disciplines, and that's how they're chosen. So again, a major milestone, a major step forward on this project after a lot of work, and I'm very pleased to move this forward. I'd like to thank Becky Gillum, Maggie Auger, who is just killing her that she couldn't be here today, and Joe Heyman. There are representatives up in the north end that have taken the lead on this. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Profraz. Questions or comments? If not, I'd like to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Ellen? Guerrero?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Donahue?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Franz?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Heyman?
Yes.
Holshay?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazarick?
Yes.
Leish? Lewis?
Yes.
Molina? Pollock?
Yes.
Sheffro?
Yes.
Silva? Smith?
Yes.
Sterrett?
Yes.
Taylor? Vasquez?
Yes.
Winnicki?
Yes. Thank you.
Winnicki.
Okay, the motion passes. Before we move on to the next item, I would like to recognize what it means to work on something for 22 years. I'd like to thank the effective local government leadership and their representatives. I believe that there's a lot of communities, 2 counties, I think maybe 12 different villages that are represented in the consensus that was brought together by at least 2 of the people who are with us in the room today. I'd also like to thank Mr. Franz for his leadership on the Transportation Committee and every member of the Transportation. Certainly, as Drew pointed out, Becky Gillum, Maggie Auger, Joe Heyman for their steps forward on this. Wrapping this up, though, I would like to recognize, as Drew did, and ask them to rise, Village Presidents Schmidt and Keller. Would you please rise? And we'd like to give you the applaud that comes 22 years of work. Okay, thank you very much. Next item is number 13235. We would need a motion and a second. So moved by Mr. Heyman, second by Mr. Donahue. Let's see, this is the approving the local agency agreement for the jurisdictional transfer of Anderson Road from Illinois Route 38 to Prairie Valley Street for the village of Elburn to the county of Kane. I believe, Mr. Franz, are you going to present this?
Yes, this is a common move. As you know, Anderson Road, this is another long-term bridge project that started actually in the mid to late 90s and involved many of our predecessors on the county board and transportation chairs and members. This is a $21.7 million project. We are hoping to break ground actually sometime around September 1st. with the construction of the earthen embankments on each side of the road prior to winter. That's always a good thing if you can pull that off, because it gives the winter freeze, thaw, and rain cycles time to settle out the embankment, and then we would be ready to actually start physical construction come spring, and with a possible completion, late 2014, early 2015. So what we're doing here is we are transferring, this is entirely within the village limits of Elburn, and this is, I guess, a short history on the project, why it's needed. Right now, the Union Pacific West line, which runs right by us here and goes through Elburn, when Chicago Northwestern was purchased by Union Pacific, this morphed into one of the busiest rail and freight corridors in the nation. About 105 trains go through our communities every day. So about every 7 or 8 minutes, Elburn completely draws to a shutdown as everybody waits for a train to go through. And with emergency services and so forth, that's been a problem. A lot of truck traffic on Route 47 draws to a halt. So this will alleviate that. The history or the genesis for this project has to do with the third rail extension that went from Geneva West to Elburn back around 2002, and also involved the construction of 2 train stations, one in LaFox and one in Elburn. So part of our commitment as the county was to build the Anderson Road Bridge and work with the village and the surrounding areas to open that area up. As you know, when things were really hot in the housing market, Campton Township and the townships to the north and Mr. Smith's district were very hot growing areas. And that will come back sometime, and this will help get those people from the north side of the tracks across into the train station. So we're ready to move forward. The reason we do this, the county is the lead construction manager on this project. There's a myriad of decisions that have to be made every day. So traditionally, ownership of the right-of-way and the project is transferred to the county. When the project is completed, and for a 1-year period thereafter, essentially like a warranty period, it stays in the county's hands, but then we turn this back over to the village, and they will actually maintain it in perpetuity. And that is part of their contribution. In addition to the $400,000 they've contributed, they'll maintain it forever thereafter. The developer is also contributing over $500,000 to build a pedestrian bridge just west of this over the railroad tracks to help facilitate the new residents that are going to be coming into the area. So, brief history.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fraz. Any questions, discussion? Ms. Taylor?
Drew, is a pedestrian bridge happening as the rest of the bridge is happening, or is that a project that's happening later on?
It's a separate project completely. There's a certain threshold that has to be crossed, I think, related to the Phase 1 build-out of this Elburn Station is the name of the major development. So at some point, I was at the meeting, I can't remember the exact threshold that has to be crossed, but they would contribute the bulk of the funding for that. So it's a separate project. It's several feet away. It's down the tracks a bit.
Right. So simultaneously, the drawings, et cetera, for the bridge are not happening for the path.
No,
that's totally starting out.
Totally
from scratch
separate.
Later on.
That's a deal between the village and the developer, and it is off this site.
Okay.
Just to the west.
So it's safe to say we'll cross that bridge when we get to it?
I wish I
It's
had
merciless. Okay, other questions, comments? Ms. Woniecki?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Fraz, was the pedestrian bridge negotiated when they approved Elburn Station? Is it part of the development?
Yeah, among other things. There's also impact fees that will be coming back from the developer and the people that move in there on a per unit basis.
Very good. The only reason I had voted no at executive committee was to pull it off the consent agenda. And the reason being I wanted to see more developer involvement in this project because the developer stands to double the size of Elburn. But this is good news, what Mr. Fraz is saying now, that he is going to build a pedestrian bridge and help contribute to that area make it easier access. So I will vote yes. We have to move this forward because we do have the federal funding. So thank you.
Ms. Wodnicki. Any other comments, questions? Mr. Lewis?
My comments are in regards to the jurisdictional transfer from the county back to the city of Elburn. I note in the resolution the word permanent county road in the resolution conveys to me that it would be not transferred back to the city of Elburn, which I am in favor of. I think it should be a county road, and but I guess we could cross that bridge, as Mr. Smith says, when we get there. But I think what I would like to have the minutes reflect is that this vote today is to accept the jurisdiction of Anderson Road into the county. And it's not a vote to return that jurisdiction back to the city of Elburn. And I don't know if I need to propose a amendment to the resolution, but basically that's what the resolution says. And I just want to make that clarification there, because it says permanent.
I appreciate the clarification. Either Mr. Fraz or Mr. Rickert, is there any information that can be supplied to demonstrate the intent at this time, at this vote, for what occurs in a future action, which I do appreciate the close reading. So, Mr. Fraz?
That would require an amended resolution, because it does show us giving it back to them. This is fairly common. And again, it's one of, Elburn's one of the small western communities. And what their skin in the game was that they would maintain it forever. This is going to be entirely within the village limits as far as maintenance, and they have a lot of cross streets and so forth, so it makes sense for them to not only take over maintenance, but if they were not, the county highway department is going to have to take over that maintenance and bear those costs forever. This is a relatively common action, and again, it's entirely within the village limits, but it is providing regional traffic relief. So it's a regional project, but it is locally situated, and we feel that it should go back to the village as far as maintenance and so forth.
Okay, Mr. Lewis?
And I appreciate the thought that we would not be responsible for maintaining it, but from my view, I think this particular road, given the growth and development that's planned for that area of the county, this road is likely to meet the needs of the entire region, similar to what Randall Road does for the region and Kirk Road does for the region. And I'm afraid that, while I would like to see the county maintain jurisdiction of the road, because many good things have happened, and we've seen an example of that, the county's involvement with Randall and the county's involvement with Kirk Road, that those traffic, or those highways basically, get the benefit of the county's resources, and I think that should be made available to the people in the western part of the county. And I don't think those resources can be made available if it's returned to a local municipality jurisdiction. The county does have Anderson Road responsibility north of Route 38 all the way up to Route 64, and so I don't see any reason why we should not maintain that jurisdiction through the city of Elburn and continue that jurisdiction all the way down to the Wabansie area and some future development. So that's the background of why I'm bringing this forward at this time.
So you actually, if I understand what you're saying, Mr. Lewis, you prefer the language as it's written right now, and I guess at the point that we would be, sometime in the future when we'd be considering the motion that returns it to the village of Elburn, you would be opposed to that because you want it to be maintained as a county road. Do I understand, generally speaking?
That would be correct. At least that's my thought process at this time. I don't see any reason for us to approve a resolution that would return the road to Elburn at this time. I agree that we should accept the Anderson Road, we should manage it, get the bridge built, And my belief, we can have a debate at some future date.
Well, and
on the
if I'm
benefits of
not
returning.
mistaken, as you outlined, the motion that we're considering today has it the one-way transfer to Kane County, but not from Elburn to Kane County. But in this motion, or in this resolution, it doesn't have the return to Elburn. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I want to apologize to the county board. This is a standard language that is used in jurisdictional transfer resolutions, and so the permanently, from the staff's recommendation, we would recommend that you strike that just so there's no confusion. There are previous resolutions as well as intergovernmental agreements passed by this board that states that the jurisdictional transfer will occur a year after that date. So that's already wrapped into previous agreements and resolutions by this board. So I would recommend that you remove that. I'm glad that it was brought up. Just to address Mr. Lewis's comments, because I understand where he's coming from. There's always a need to protect those types of collector roads and arterials that are part of the county highway system or part of the regional system. There's always a need to protect that. The situation here, though, with the village of Elburn is that they generally have proceeded forward with their planning activities, looking at this as being more of a local / sub-regional type collector road. It's at one point in time, Anderson Road was actually part of what they called the Illinois 47 SRA study, which was going to be a bypass of Elburn. The village, after years of deliberation, chose that they wanted to look at making it an alternative route, but not a bypass. So they actually, Blackberry Creek, if most of you have been to Elburn, you'll actually see that on the south end of Anderson Road, there is a subdivision there that actually prevents us from ever extending it further to the south. North of Illinois 38 is actually a township township roadway that at this point in time, the township is concerned about making that into a collector road in the future. So the thought at this point in time, all the planning activities that have been done with the local jurisdiction in that area as well as with the county is that there is the opportunity to utilize Illinois 47 to Kesslinger and then Anderson Road north to Illinois 38, and then you take Illinois 38 back to the west. So it is an alternative. It is an important roadway, so I understand the recommendation that's coming forward. But at this point in time, it's not the way that it's been developed. It's, again, there's no way we can extend it to the south because of Blackberry Creek subdivision, and to the north, it's more of a township road. And so the staff, at this point, the staff's recommendation would be that we remove the word permanently, just so that it's clear within the resolution.
Well, but we would need to have a person make a motion, and Mr. Lewis is really suggesting the opposite, that he prefers the language now. So I think that the original recommendation that's come through the whole process is to use standard language that is used in all of these, and I think that would remain in place until we take the next steps, unless someone on the board here would want to make an amendment because Mr. Lewis prefers the language as it is right now.
That's correct.
Okay. So if you would want to remain with, if the staff recommendation would be to remain with the language that has been worked through the entire process, that would probably simplify it for the time being.
Okay.
And gosh, it's the expression about, we cross that bridge when we come to it, the next piece of the action, perhaps there will be more debate that'll take place at Transportation Executive and a future board meeting. So let's, unless there's a motion to the contrary, we'll leave the language as it's originally been recommended by our transportation staff, and with the concurrence of Mr. Lewis. Okay, any further discussion? If not, I'd like to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Ellen? Ferrero?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Donahue? Yes. Ford?
Yes.
Fries?
Yes.
Gilliam?
Yes.
Hayman?
Yes.
Hoshay?
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Kazari.
Yes.
Lash.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Molina.
Yes.
Pollock. Yes. Sheffro.
Yes.
Silva.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Sterrett.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
Vasquez.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Thank you very much. And I'd also like to thank the members of the Transportation Department for their diligence on this and other projects. Okay, we do have a need for executive session today. The procedure that I'm going to do standard now is going to be to ask for a motion and a second, then a voice vote to go into executive session. Once we're in executive session, we'll take a formal roll call to establish who is in that, and then coming out, we'll have a voice vote, a motion second and the voice vote to come out. Just wanted to clarify that. I've had some confusion on my part in past meetings. So, is there a motion to go into executive session? So
I'll
moved
move
by
it.
Ms. Wodnicki, second by Mr. Heyman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. We'll go into executive session.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. So back into meeting. May I ask for a motion and a second to approve number 13236, settlement of claim number 08WC43616. So may I have a motion, Mr. Ford?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Allen. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Allen. Ferrero.
Yes.
Davis. Yes. Donahue. Yes. Ford. Yes. Franz.
Yes.
Gillen.
Yes.
Heyman.
Yes.
Kazari.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Molina. Pollock. Sheffro.
Yes.
Silva. Smith abstained. Sterrett.
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
And Wodnicki.
Yes.
Kenyon votes yes, too.
Okay. So the motion passes. Do we have any speakers on non-agenda items? So if not, entertain a motion to adjourn. Ms. Sterrett, second by Mr. Heyman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We're adjourned to Tuesday, August 13th, 9:45 a.m.